Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call today's Judicial and Public Safety Committee meeting to order. It is Thursday, July 10th, 9 a.m. May I please have roll call?
Gripe,
Right here.
Gums, Linder,
Linder here.
Pepe,
Zeppy here.
Williams,
Here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Molina,
Present.
Roth.
Roth here.
You have an in-person quorum?
Okay, we have no requests for remote attendance. I'll entertain a motion for unanimous consent for the approval of minutes from June 12th, 2025.
Right moves for unanimous consent of the minutes of June 12th, 2025.
Any objection? Minutes are approved. We have no one signed up for public comment. And we do have the monthly financial reports. If anybody has any questions at this point, I'll entertain those. Okay, and I don't have anyone here from the Merit Commission, so we will move right on to KingCom.
Good morning. Our monthly reports are in the packet. I kind of am bringing some of the same concerns and priorities to the committee every month. Our focus remains on hiring and training. We had a great turnout for our skills testing on June 30th. So we're moving forward with the interview process for our full-time telecommunicator role. I would like to welcome our new training manager, Francesca, who's with us here today. She joins us with 20 years of experience in 911 and public safety, and she will be focused on overseeing the training program as we hire, as well as continuing education for our current staff. But that leads me into our next concern, which of course is space. So we are doing the best we can with the space that we have, but we continue to explore options. We're still sharing offices. I'm not sure where we're going to do said training. It's not really convenient in a 911 setting to have people outside of the communication center, set up from away from the emergencies in the event that there is something high priority that's happening. They have to get back to the center quickly. So we are just brainstorming, and it may result in some admin offices being moved if there's other spaces available, but that is definitely our high priority. And I continue to reach out, as I see other space available and figure out what we can do with that plan. But that, in terms of committee support, that's really what KingCom is in need of right now.
Thank you, Ms. Guthrie. I know we were hoping there might be some space available in that building. I guess I'll ask that we kind of work together with all of our electeds, and I'm not sure exactly what property means when it comes to the county board property, and I don't want to push too much, but I think if an elected has space that's empty, it's not really their space to be empty. It's the county board space. So I might have to push a little bit more in ask direction from our state's attorney to see what that definition means of county board property, because we really need to get this taken care of best possible.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'm sure you thought of it, but what about the auditorium? Because it's close if you need to get back.
It is close. We do some off hours training as well. So it is after business hours. We've used the yellow house as well. It's just then we are sending up printers there. We're setting up training stations with 2 to 3 monitors. In the event that someone else has the auditorium reserved, we have our equipment that's already there. It's just a lot of movement of the equipment. If we could find a better solution, that would work. In the past, I believe about 2 years ago, I converted my office into the training space where we had 3 different desks in there. The stations were set up in there. The training manager operated out of there. That was converted back shortly after. But now we are on just, a hiring run where we're hiring 2 to 3 people at a time. That cycle is going to continue until we're at full staff. So I would like to find a somewhat permanent solution for the next couple of years. And that does not eliminate the sharing of the office that our deputy director and our leads coordinator are also doing in a fairly small space. But yes, thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Linder?
Yeah, Michelle, just a curiosity, you mentioned that you had a good turnout for your testing. How many people show up? What's a good turnout?
I believe, this is off the top of my head, I believe we had 33 sign up to do testing. 20 showed up.
Okay.
And out of that 20, we have 8 moving ahead with interviews in the 3rd week of July, which is great.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for our KingCom director? Okay. Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to emergency management.
Good morning. You have our reports in our packet. Just a couple high-level summary things. We are heavily focused on our emergency operations plan rewrite. It's due in March, so we've completed the base plan and we're focusing on thinning it out. The current plan is about, I don't know, about 600 pages, which I think is too thick to use in an emergency. So the parts we've completed were somewhere around 50 to 60% of the size. So we've eliminated a lot of unnecessary things. So we're hoping to do that with the rest. So we're at the point where soon we'll be reaching out to some of the other departments that have annexes and roles to revise sections that refer to them. So that'll be coming soon. We're also heavily focused on taking delivery of our new mobile command center. The term we're using it for is Mobile Operations Center. So that's what it'll say on it. Late August is our projected delivery. I think August 28th. We'll be going up to Wisconsin to pick it up. So we're focused on some of the garage layout and the things that have to happen to put that vehicle in there and replace the old one. And then kind of an exciting thing we're doing next week is our first recovery group meeting. So we'll be holding a meeting with the potential leadership of the group. And that'll be something that will be focused, at least initially, heavily on mass care, mass sheltering in the event of a disaster and damage assessment, and we'll grow from there. So those are the major things that we're working on right now, and it's taking up the majority of our time. So with that, that's all I have.
Okay, any questions for our Emergency Management Director? Okay, we will move on to Sheriff Adult Corrections. We have Under Sheriff here.
Thank you. Good morning. Hopefully everybody had a happy and safe 4th of July. Our monthly reports are on file. And we just wanted to say too, with the continuation financial impact of the Safety Act, I know we posted on our Facebook just the continuation, and we can all attest to with the continued growth of just what we're experiencing with corrections, public safety, what we thought was a decrease, and what we're experiencing with corrections and just the residents that are coming in, it's actually the opposite. So we are just trying to facilitate what it looks like with recidivism, what it looks like with reshaping of our programs, what it looks like kind of in the future of 26 and 27. So again, that was a Loyola University study. It is on our Facebook page. I know the sheriff did have some comments on that. So we are just trying to look at that and see where we take it because again, it's increased instead of decreased.
Okay, yes, Mr. Ross?
Sheriff or Under Sheriff, what's the numbers when you're saying what percent were we and what percent are we up to?
On that one too, when the Safety Act or pretrial fairness started, we were in the 200s. Right now, it's projected to be about 350 to 450, depending on the end of summer.
Yeah. So
Quite a significant jump, yes.
very significant.
Yes.
And Under Sheriff Johnson, is that a trend across the state? Yeah.
Yes,
is that-
yeah. And it was, if you see, I don't specifically know which ones, but there was several agencies that did participate throughout the state of Illinois. So you can see the significant trends with the DuPage County, Cook County, significant with us.
Okay, any questions for, yes, Chief Judge?
Am I, there it is. All right. Under Sheriff, have you looked at, and I know you haven't been able to really decipher the data, when you talked to Professor Olson, who generated this data for the 4 counties that participated, not all of them have an increase in jail population. Have you been able to reach out to him to find out whether or not he has correlated some of that data with what he believes is an increase in failure to appear warrants?
We are looking at that right now too, because that's, as we had talked about too, that's a
Right.
huge thing, 3 times without anything. So that's where we're looking at recidivism also, because we have to switch out what's working and what is not after the 3 times, because that's a huge factor also.
No, I agree. And the reason I mentioned this is that if there's anything that I've learned about communicating with the public on this topic, is that the word nuance is lost on all of them. They don't even understand the process of asking another question after they hear a fact. They hear there's more people in jail. Suddenly, Kane County is rife with more recidivism and people are committing core crimes. And that is probably not even close to the truth. The truth is, we have a portion of people under the Safety Act who don't come before a judge and get a phone number from trial court services to call the next day and make sure they know when their court date is. They get sort of a catch and release at the police department because they're at a lower level offense. Those people generally do not have whatever you want to talk about that reminds them to come back to court. And eventually for those crimes, they get failure to appear warrants. That's a significant problem throughout the state. Is that something that we have here in Kane County? I don't know, but what I don't want this board at least to think is that, at least from what we see at bond call from people who come back after being arrested. We're not seeing necessarily an increase in recidivism crimes. And for those who have looked at our dashboard, that is the only way you're going to know what crimes people were arrested for in King County without asking somebody directly. You will see the types of crimes are at the very low misdemeanor level. They're very, very inconsequential to your average daily person. They're very often domestic battery crimes and DUIs. So I think if there's going to be any discussion from the county board on that topic, then if there's going to be any discussion about increase in jail population, I think it's concerning for me that the public be left to create their own narrative, which they will automatically flock to reactionism and thinking that it's high crime time in King County, which I will at least take my own name on. It is not.
Thank you, Chief Judge. And I think that's a very important point. I know we've talked before about failure to appear. I'd like to go a little bit more into depth as to what that means. Kind of, if someone could just walk us through, maybe not now, but in the future.
We should.
And kind of have that filmed maybe for us to put out there on social media. When you get stopped, what does that mean? You're released, you're given a ticket. What are your rights? What are your responsibilities? And just kind of walk anybody through this so that they're aware if this happens to them, this is what's going to happen next. And if you don't make the phone call, if you do not appear, then you will be then detained. And I think this is going to be a lot less expensive for us to put something like this together than it is to continue to house people in our prisons and our jails that really don't need to be there, other than the fact that they really don't understand the system or they choose not to. I think we need to give them as many tools as possible so that they do understand what their rights and responsibilities are.
To that point, timing, I suppose, is good. We have the Chief Judge's Office has met with a marketing company out here that has handled a very successful political campaign recently. And that company is going to produce up to 15 videos for us, where we're going to explain to citizens things like what happens when the jury summons comes to your house. Why are there 2 phone numbers on the jury summons? So you could call Monday and Tuesday. What happens if your child gets a speeding ticket? What happens if somebody dies intestate? These are the kind of what's a small estate affidavit, small little less than a minute type videos that people can digest very easily without a lot of boring acting, hopefully. That's probably one of them that we should let others know, or we should add to the list of those that are out there. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions at this point? Okay. Oh, so sorry, Mr. Grape, go ahead.
I think what you suggested was a great idea. That's a great idea. I'd love to be able to link that on King County Speaks.
Connects.
Yeah, King, thank you. That one. All of them. Any rate, I was wondering if we could also maybe kind of get ahead of the public perception by producing the data you were talking about, Judge, that, this is what people are in for. And so it's really not a mass crime wave, but we could put that in a bunch of different places.
That is available on the circuit clerk's website. It's what is it? The pretrial dashboard or something like that. That tells you every single day on a rolling basis of data, every arrest for what it is, what the crime was, what department arrested them, meaning what municipality or the sheriff's department, whether a petition to detain was filed for them, whether the petition to detain could not be filed because it's not a detainable offense, and the percentages as a result of that. Every day it's available.
So we need to get that on more public websites, the one the county can control. So, yeah.
And it's great on your phone. I mean, it's a really, really useful tool.
And the information wasn't supposed to be a crime wave going in King County. It was supposed to be how our resources are allocated also for the continuation of it, which you and I
fully understand.
We have talked about that also.
Absolutely.
Of bridging and having individuals understand the NTA and what happens for the first and second. So again, we're talking about the education as what we've expressed too. And that's where we're going with, hey, we're mandating more. We're having more elements fixated with those individuals continuously coming back. So that wasn't the element of, hey, there's a crime wave coming in King County. It was more of, here's the education of, here's where we're doing more with less and the extenuating circumstances with what's happening.
Oh, no, I fully understand that because we've had those conversations at our
Correct.
justice managers meetings and others. I just wanted to make sure this body knew and the county board anyone else who would be interested from the public, the nuance and the depth of the discussion is not something they're going to participate in. They're going to read that, and if you read the comments below that on Facebook, like I did, they're going to blame everybody that they want to blame instead of asking, could you tell us why that is? So I think at some point, we certainly were going to try to do that.
Yes. I just
Okay.
wanted to
Yes, go
say
ahead.
NTA is notice to appear for those that don't understand what that is.
I guess my point is just to clarify, I think we communicate well within the family. You know, every county website, every county, everything that 99% of the population will never look at. So we need to figure other ways of getting it outside so people can see this and hear the messaging these guys are telling us.
And I think that's a lot what the 24 of us really need to participate in. I
Yeah.
mean, we all have our social media. We all have friends, neighbors, family members to just put information out there as much as we possibly can. You know, we're going to be knocking on doors, whatever we have to do, just make sure people are aware. And that's part of our responsibility as county board members. Mr. Linder, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you,
sorry.
Madam Chair. Just have a question for people that fail to appear 3 times. What is the average amount of time that they're detained?
I don't know. And the reason I don't know is that would require a look at what they failed to appear for. And for example, the Supreme Court has just recently revamped Rule 556, which was a rule that governed the language on notices that go out for failure to appear on traffic offenses and other minor offenses. For a long time, local prosecutors and our own state attorney's office would occasionally issue warrants for cases where there was no requirement to appear and there was only a fine that the person had to pay, which is not a jailable offense, not an incarcerational offense. That's a human system we have. So when you have 500, 300 cases up in a day and you see 2 cases that look exactly the same, sometimes a warrant request is made. And judges sometimes sign more than one warrant, more than one order at a time, and don't go back into the history of that to issue warrants. So there's a whole menagerie of reasons why somebody would be issued a warrant and may not spend any time. They may spend some time. And my comment regarding failure to appear isn't the only reason why that jail population is higher, but it is definitely a factor that around the state people have noticed.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for our sheriff? We will move on to our coroner.
Good morning, everybody. If we can have our presentation. And I'll let you look through most of that, but I'd like to bring your attention to page 6. So I'm trying to follow a typical format for everybody so that you can get used to looking at the numbers and have them look fairly transparent to you. We had 272 total deaths in June. Of those, 8 required autopsies. And I'll let you look at the savings that we had, but I want commissioners, board members to take a look at where things are happening, what's happening in your district. And that way you know how to allocate your resources when you have to make your decisions. So we continue to see quite a bit of overdose deaths. And we also had 1 homicide in Aurora. Thankfully, it was just 1. But as you can see, overdose deaths and motor vehicle crashes are important things to look at. Intersections, when you make your decisions about transportation, speed limits and such, intersections are an important thing to look at. And if you were to ever need an amount of what I would call a dangerous intersection in your district, please let me know, because we can take a look at that information together. And then the other thing that I want to bring attention to is my last page, and that's my deputy caseload. These are large amounts of cases per person. I have 1 person who is off on work comp, and I have another one who I have another space that I might have to fill soon due to a transfer of positions. So my challenges are staff, keeping everything staffed. As you know, we're 24/7. So that's definitely something that I have to look at when it comes to budget. The other challenge is I am trending high on overtime because we are covering. We are a skeleton crew, and special thanks to the board members who have come out, and I invite each and every one of you to come out and see the work that's being done. So the other challenge is toxicology and autopsy. Toxicology is something that we can't always do a lot with. And sometimes we can do toxicology in lieu of doing an autopsy. And so that saves us some money. While we would never just do toxicology if an autopsy is indicated, there are cases where it's perfectly fine just to do toxicology and forego the $1,750 or so of an autopsy. So we're trending higher in autopsies and in toxicology. And I'm told, I've been in office 6 months, and I'm told that it is often that we go over on toxicology and autopsies at the end of the year. So I have to find a way to manage that. I am looking at a couple of options. One of those options I'll speak to you more about, but it might entail an investment on at the inception as opposed to the tail end, but I'm hoping to cap some of those numbers. I think otherwise things have been going well. We have on board so far 3 or 4 people, possibly a 4th, who are coming to the coroner's office as interns or volunteers. And these are young people who are very interested in such careers and are willing, or just care about their community and are willing to work with the coroner's office. So they are assisting with clerical work and a couple of other things that are non-deputy related. So that is a great way to save money and to develop talent in our community. The other thing that I want to stress is we continue to be present in the community, both distributing Narcan and letting folks know what we do and how we do it and how we put their tax dollars to work. But the most important thing is how to maintain themselves safe. So the distribution of Narcan is almost free because the Narcan is free to us through the health department, and that position was funded through a grant. The grant has, we've used up all of the grant money, so we're going to figure out if we can continue to do something like that. But I do think it is very important for us to have a presence in the community to let people know what is going on. So we have options. We're definitely still applying for grants, and we're looking at other different ways to keep within budget, but still provide some of this information. I myself am out there, my staff is out there, so we're hoping to continue to do that without costing you money. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you again to the board members that have shown a lot of interest in what we do. My staff really appreciates that. As you know, they do a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. Any questions for our coroner? Mr. Leonard?
Just one, Madam Chair. Dr. Silva, with respect to autopsies, I read where there are autopsies required by state statute for unexplained or violent deaths. Obviously, that would take into account automobile accidents and suicides. What is the justification for an autopsy through the state statute when it is a violent death and it's rather obvious what the person died from?
Well, first of all, some suicides would not always necessitate an autopsy. In a very small amount of cases, we do have a suicide note. So that's, it's obvious. So we can do toxicology to have some of those answers. So in homicide, that's something that's actually it's going to go to court. There is going to go, it's going to legitimately there will be a trial. So we want to provide as much information as we can, medical evidence as we can for the conviction of the person who would have committed the homicide. So, and in other cases, it's also important to be able to justify why something happened, such in the officer involved shooting. So in an officer involved shooting. So there are many reasons. That's just one of a few of those, but we definitely want to be always able to provide the medical evidence that is needed to substantiate how and why this person died. Could this person have had a heart attack? Yes, they were shot, but could they have had a heart attack right before? So we want to make sure we provide the medical evidence.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Silva. Okay, we'll
Welcome.
move on to Judiciary and Courts. Chief Judge Villa.
I have nothing to report, but I believe Ms. O'Brien does.
Good morning. I just want to give a couple updates. First of all, the paving project is ongoing at the Judicial Center. Unfortunately, it caused a power outage this morning at the JC and the JJC. But it was resolved quickly. I want to thank Matt Walker and building management for being right on top of it and addressing the issue. ComEd arrived quickly. We were able to get the power up and running in probably within an hour, hour and a half, by around 7:30 this morning. But our hope is that the construction and the paving does not create that issue again, but we are still working on that. I'd also like to give an update at 3rd Street. We have finished the tech project at the Judicial Center. All courtrooms are up and running with the new technology. It's working fantastic. We are at 3rd Street and we hope to finish that by August 21st. So if everything goes as planned, by the end of August, we will have both buildings up and ready with all our new technology for use. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Judiciary? Okay, thank you for being here. Okay, we'll move on to State's Attorney.
Good morning. State's Attorney Moster is unable to be here, but her financial reports are on file. The office does have one resolution for consideration. It's a housekeeping financial resolution that transfers funds from KDOT's budget to the state's attorney's office insurance liability budget for the provision of legal services.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve the resolution?
Williams moves.
Mr. Williams moves.
Linder second.
Mr. Linder seconds. Okay, any discussion? No comments or questions? Okay, may I please have roll call?
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Pepe,
Tempe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes. Okay, this passes on to Finance. Okay, we will move on to our Public Defender.
Good morning. Our reports are on file. Our numbers are running consistent with prior years, so we are still very busy. We are currently fully staffed, which is a wonderful thing. That also allows us to work on training of our attorneys. We have a number of attorneys with less than 5 years of experience. So for the rest of the summer, we are doing a number of in-house trainings, one which is a half-day training to help get those attorneys fully trained and up to speed and ready to go in the courtrooms. And that is all I have for today.
Okay, any questions for our Public Defender? Okay, thank you. And we will move on to Court Services Administration.
Good morning. My reports are on file and much like the Public Defender, our numbers are remaining very consistently stable across the board. Even as far as the pretrial services, the adult probation, I am seeing an increase in problem-solving court applications, which I've discussed previously. But we're holding off on our internal discussions about reallocating staff or what we can do for those specialty courts until after the county's completed its budgeting process. So all that's on pause, all that's on hold until August or September. Having said that as well, the state fiscal year ended or starts on July 1, which is always a strain for my department because that's concurrent with the county's budgeting process. So we're in the middle of doing all of our reports for the state. There's a lot to be done, as well as getting all the budgeting stuff, everything's entered. And again, we're just looking forward to moving forward, partnering with you to figure out how we're going to tackle next year. My one piece of news is that the juvenile detention facility, the JJC, just completed its, every 3 years, it's audited by the state of Illinois. They just finished their audit and came out with flying colors again. Kudos to Mike Davis, the superintendent, and all of his staff out there. They do a wonderful job. And in fact, we're having a conference call later this afternoon to, for them to formally announce that to the chief, that they've done a spectacular job yet again. So having said all that, I don't have any resolutions or anything for you today, and all of my reports are on file if you have any questions.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Ost? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our circuit clerk.
Good morning, everyone. My reports are on file. If anybody has any questions, I would just like to point out that we're projected about 6% higher than last year, and new cases filed. And I would like to reiterate what all the other offices have said. We are down one right now with deputy clerks, which is excellent. But we do have several new employees, so there's a lot of training going on. So everyone bear with us. As far as the failure to appear, yes, the state is looking into that, and we've got new forms coming out. And if you all realize that it's a trickle down effect. So whatever, happens in another office here, it always comes through one of our other offices. So we're all affected by this. There was some talk of, and I'm not sure if it passed on Tuesday, the build out for the state's attorney's office in the clerk's office. Did that pass? I didn't get a chance to listen to the county board. We do not know when that construction is going to be starting. This obviously is a project that's been going on for several years. So it's kind of a, I'll believe it when I see it kind of thing. I know I've picked out colors for furniture at least twice, and other stuff probably 3-4 times. So, but once they start this, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to reallocate my staff that's in that area to our foyer area, because we have plenty of counter space, but we are going to have to put the viewing terminals, the PCs, in the foyer. So they're going to create something out there like a workstation like you see in a library, or these computers for folks to research documents and stuff like that. So it's undertaking when it begins. Word was July 1st. So we'll see. But once they start this, I invite everybody over to take a look. But it's not a large area, but whatever, they need, we pushed ourselves over a little bit so they could use it. And that's actually all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for our circuit clerk? Okay, any old business the committee would like to discuss, bring up? Mr. Gripe?
Just a general question. Blair, could you bring up page 158? I love reports, and I'm just curious, if you redact pretty much everything except the expense. So I don't have a concern here other than, obviously I would think an auditor would be able to get to the information, but somebody doesn't want anybody to see either column. And I know there's, private information sometimes. I was just curious because there's other pages like this, and it's not just one department, but I just thought I'd ask why someone would need to redact every bit of detail except the chart.
Okay, this particular one was from the state's attorney, but if anybody wants to chime in, I'm not sure how it's decided.
Generally speaking, I don't know for each individual card how it's decided, but I know that offices do go through and remove information in order to protect confidentiality, safety, the integrity of ongoing court cases. I note this does say this is the Judiciary Safety Committee, so I would assume that a number of those purchases relate specifically to security. And so to the extent the individual office approves its P card, bill and has to redact that information before it is made public, that's up to the individual office.
Yeah, I would understand like a name of somebody or something, but if it's Amazon Marketplace or Bob's Pizza or something like that, I'm having trouble figuring out why that would need to be redacted.
Pardon me, could I respond to Mr. Drape's question?
Sure, Mr. Hunt, I was about to call you next. Go ahead.
The particular charges here, all those $35 are baggage claim checks for checking baggage. And what is redacted is the information of the traveler and the destination. They were going to a conference.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Ms. Ost, did you want to bring something up?
I was just going to say, for my department, Mr. Gripe, you're correct. The only thing that we redact are we hold accounts. We call them off-book accounts for when juveniles are diverted from court and they make restitution payments to the victim. We don't allow the juvenile to have the contact information of the victim nor make that direct contact. So all of that money goes through court services. So we're the intermediary so that there's no contact between the victim and the perpetrator. So in those cases, we do redact the personal names of those individuals, as the state's attorney said, just to keep all of that confidential. But you're right, when we order pizza or whatever for an event, we always leave that on there.
Could I add one other thing then, please?
Yes, Mr. Hunt, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, the report you're looking at on page 158 is not something that is generated by the state's attorney's office. Those redactions are a function of the finance department who redact under certain circumstances. We don't redact that information when we submit the P card charges. So that's something that happens after we've done our processing.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, good question. Okay, under new business, I'll just provide an update so far regarding our budget presentation process. We are hoping to be on track for budget presentations at next month's Judicial and Public Safety Committee, which is scheduled for August 14th. We're still waiting on some kind of direction, a little bit more specific direction from our Finance Committee, but we're hoping to get that at that next Finance Committee meeting. But as it pertains to our committee and the presentations that are given at our committee, we are hoping to have those. So we're asking for everybody to have your presentations ready for the August 14th meeting. Last year we did it. We were done before noon. I'm expecting us not to be done before noon this year, but I'm hoping that we're able to get them all done in one day. Regarding presentation times, I guess we'll hope that you're able to keep it within 10 minutes of your presentation, and then we'll have a question and answer after each presentation is made, just to kind of make sure our committee members are able to look at everything. Submitting of presentations, I guess you're kind of being told now that we have almost a month to go to have those presentations ready. So if you're able to submit them as soon as you can to Savannah, and then maybe we can distribute those to the committee ahead of time so that everybody is kind of aware as to what is being presented, and we'll have better questions for you. Any questions regarding that?
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering, in the past few years, they provided like templates of information, how they wanted us to present it. Any word on if finance is going to provide those, or you just want us to submit it in the format that we feel is appropriate for our department?
Well, I think we've done both. I think we've had the way you've submitted your budgets already to finance, which is kind of the way we look at all the finance reports. And then each department, as they've so chosen, has kind of like done their own tweaks to their presentation. So highlight whatever you need to highlight, and kind of do that just to give us a better idea of where you're seeing your next year be. I think that would make sense. Anything else that the committee would like to be seeing in the presentations, Mr. Grape?
Just, I'm curious to, a question is, and you can answer it because, is the format this year the same as what you got last year?
Yes, I mean, we haven't, so for budget presentation, they usually kind of a condensed format that they provide to us. We don't have that yet. And so that's why I was wondering if finance was still planning on doing it. I mean, we still submitted our budget as we have in the past. That's the same. I was just wondering if specifically what this group was looking for, if there was a certain format you wanted us to follow.
I think, from
If
my
it's-
understanding from Mr. Leonard, I think finance is going to be present. It's the same as last year, so
Okay, thank you.
no real changes there. Mr. Gripe?
Maybe just a suggestion only from my financial past. If there's something you want to make a point of, yeah, obviously that's, because you have limited time, but important things that we need to know if we have to get out scissors or something that you could help us. So thank you.
Okay, any other suggestions for the budget presentations? Mr. Williams?
I think it would be helpful to have a summary of the budget for the last 5 years. Just in 2020, our budget was X, 2021, it was Y, et cetera. Don't need high level detail, just what it was in those years.
Okay, any other suggestions? Okay, if anybody does have any questions regarding the presentations or anything, please reach out to me. But yeah, let's plan for doing our presentations at next month's Judicial and Public Safety Committee meeting.
Madam Chair Bates, please.
Ms. Bates, yes, welcome.
Thank you. As far as summaries from the last 5 years, since most of that includes COVID, if we're going to have a summary, could we go back just another couple years before COVID, if that's not too much work, like 17, 18, 19, 2017, so we can get a pre-COVID look?
Ms. Ost?
I hear what you're saying, but I would like to offer that at a 10-year retrospective window, that there are many laws that will have changed between here and there. And so our budgetary landscape may look very different today than it would have a decade ago.
Okay.
Ms. Barrero, and then our chair would like to speak too.
Yes, I would just like to add for all those new members in that we have in the past in all of our budgets put a 5-year. It was asked of us for years, just basically the general fund for 5 years. And I would agree with Ms. Oust that so many things have changed and our business is the same, yet it's changed because there's so many different aspects. Like one thing is not used, but 10 more are used in a different area. So this is something that, everybody needs to keep in mind, that technology is great until it's not. So.
Chair Pirog?
Just to reflect on what Ms. Bates says, and with the COVID shifted everything. We all know it did. So that was an anomaly. There was an increase in federal dollars coming through. But in 23, things started settling down. We did the budget adjustments for compensation increases. That was pretty much settled at that point. So I would say that 23 is our baseline. We all suggested by the board to go back to 24 and to use that as a reference point as we go into 26. So I think we only need to go back for their exercise to 23, 24, 25, a projected 25. I think that'd be satisfactory, and see what the differences are between 25, that baseline half a year, to 20, what projected for 26 and what their needs are. I think that for this committee may be ample.
Well, I want to make sure everybody in this committee has all the information they want, just to make sure that we're making the choices that we should be making. Mr. Gripe, I think you had said, how many years did you say?
5.
5,
I agree
okay.
with Mr. Williams. And, we all know COVID happened, so we can look at it, but there's probably data in there that I can go, oh, that's interesting, or I'll ignore it, or I won't ignore it. But yeah, 5 years can still let me look at 2 or 3.
And COVID happened, and every department in this committee was doing business as usual, regardless of COVID. I mean, there was some changes, we pivoted, but we didn't stop. So, okay, Mr. Williams?
Well, and the Safety Act happened, and that will not be lost on this committee, but I just FYI.
So if we're requesting 5 years then, Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think also too, what we can do or ask of everyone is just a one-line description of your total expenses for those 5 years. So it'll be very easy for everybody to see we will have to take into consideration COVID and other factors. But I think that is a simple way to do it and gives everyone a point of reference.
Okay, I think we're all on the same page regarding that. Okay, any other questions regarding our budget presentation or anything the committee is requesting? Okay, so we will move on. I'll request consent to place reports on file.
Williams request unanimous consent to place reports on file.
Any opposition? Okay, reports are placed on file. We do need executive session. So I will request a motion to go into executive session for the release of closed session minutes. May I have a motion in a second?
This moves to go into executive session for the review of closed session minutes.
Linder, second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Williams, second by Mr. Leonard. All those in favor? Or do we have to do roll call? Okay, roll call, please.
Grape,
Right, present.
Have a good one.
just say yes. It's fine. Linder,
Yes.
Debbie, yes.
Williams,
Here.
Yes.
yes.
Judge.
Yes.
Judge.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
On executive session?
Okay,
All right, everybody online that's joining us in the closed session, please accept your invites. As a reminder to those in the room, you must also accept before we can go into the closed session. Please accept those invites.
Thank you.
For sure. But, and the Safety Act. That was a bigger impact.
What?
I have got the.
What do you think?
Oh, it was huge.
Is there anyone hearing my voice online that feels they should be in the closed session?
You're very good at pulling that shade up, Aaron. Yeah,
I don't know if we're.
that's because there's been no maintenance on it for 30 years.
All right, you are in open session.
Okay, we're back in open session. May I please have roll call?
Grape,
Right here.
Gums, Linder,
Under here.
Tepe,
Step here.
Williams,
Here.
Leonard,
Leonard here.
Molina,
Molina present.
Roth.
Roth here.
Okay, we have a quorum. I'll entertain a motion to vote on the release of closed session minutes as outlined in Exhibit A.
Leonard so moves.
Gripe second.
Motion made by Mr. Leonard, second by Mr. Gripe. Roll call, please.
Grape,
Gripe, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Tepe,
Step yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes. Okay, minutes are approved. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Williams moves.
Mr. Williams moves, Mr. Linder seconds. All those in favor?